We're live at Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York, here at the debate site where Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are just hours away from the highly anticipated first presidential debate of this season.
It is very high expectations for both of these candidates, as upwards of 100 million Americans are expected to tune in to watch the two candidates go head-to-head for the very first time. With us now is senior advisor to the Trump campaign, AJ Delgado. Good to see you.
Great to be with you guys.
So, AJ, let me ask you right off the start, what do you think Donald Trump's biggest challenge is going to be in this debate? Because in the last debate, you had, up to 15 people on the stage. Wasn't a lot of time for specifics. What do you think his challenge is going to be tonight?
I think it's the same for Hillary and Mr. Trump, to be honest. It's the time limit. When you're talking about policy and you're trying to convey your vision, your plans to America, it's really tough for either candidate to do so in these 2.5-minute answer spots that you get. So I think the challenge is to be succinct, to be likable, to convey your message as fully as possible within that time limit. Always such a challenge for any debate.
What's his strategy going into this tonight?
I think it's honestly just be yourself. She's been, in my opinion, over-preparing, whereas Mr. Trump, he's gotten to where he is because of his authenticity, because of speaking directly to the American public. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, is a very scripted person. One of her weaknesses is you constantly see in polls she comes across as lawyerly, almost condescending when she speaks in public.
But his downside, a lot of people say, is the fact that he puts out these little zingers there that doesn't make him look great. I mean, is that something he's going to rein in tonight, do you think?
It depends. I think he will rein it in because the presidential debate is a different tone from what you might have seen in a primary debate.
What do you think he's learned from the other Republican debates that he's been involved with? At one point, Marco Rubio, one of his competitors in the race, had called him, said he's a man with little hands. And Rubio said he really, looking back, regretted using that kind of language. Is there anything Donald Trump regrets from his debates?
Well, he did mention in an interview several weeks ago that he does have some regrets. He didn't go into specifics on what that is. But surely, I think it's human nature to kind of say things that maybe in the moment were might have been funny or in good taste, but maybe looking back, not so much. And I think we all do that. I think Hillary probably has some regrets of her own. Well, she doesn't give press conferences often or debates, but when she does, I'm sure there's some regrets there.
Well, to be fair, it used to be that Mr. Trump spoke to reporters all the time. She has now recently spoken to some reporters. Mr. Trump has not. He has not really taken a lot of questions from reporters. Why is that?
Right. Well, he's done so many press conferences during the entire, 9-month period when she did it, that I think the focus is now on the rallies, on the campaign events. He really wants to get out there with the voters, not so much with the media. We've seen this election as kind of him going straight to the American public, speaking to them on an authentic, direct level. And I think that's what he wants to focus on. And by the way, Hillary's these quote-unquote press conferences she's doing, they seem to be more press gaggles, informal press conferences. And you see the questions asked are as silly as, what's your Labor Day message? I mean, we're kind of rolling our eyes going, come on, you guys could do better than that.
But a lot of people were rolling their eyes when Mr. Trump made a big deal about the announcement that he was going to say that President Obama was born in the United States. And in fact, it turned out to be a big infomercial for his hotel.
Well, no, it was a big infomercial for the veterans and the servicemen that were up on the stage with him. So it was great because he did what he set out to do. He gave the statement. It was exactly what he told the media. I'm going to make a statement about this. He did. And he also brought attention to some American heroes. So it was a win-win for everybody.
All right, let's dig into some of the numbers. In a Washington Post ABC News poll out last weekend, 44% of voters nationwide thought Hillary would win tonight compared to 34% for Trump. So in a way, he's got low expectations. The only question is, can he exceed those expectations if the bar is set low? Do you think the bar is set lower for Donald Trump than for Hillary Clinton?
Well, normally I would think so. I understand that poll because he's not a politician. He's not a person who's been debating his whole life or doing political debates. So it makes sense for the expectations to be a little bit lower. That said, I think this year is all about authenticity. So even though she might come off as more polished and skillful as a debater, is that really a plus or a minus? We kind of want to see somebody who isn't a polished robot the way Hillary Clinton sometimes comes across as. We want someone authentic. So I think his weaknesses might actually be a strength this year.
One of the issues he's had is dissent within his own party. Major Republicans just don't support him. Marco Rubio among them. People didn't think he'd do well. He really nailed it in the primaries, ended up winning the Republican primaries for Senate. Why hasn't he reached out to people like Marco Rubio? You're going to be in Miami tomorrow. Do you think they'll patch things up like he did with Ted Cruz?
I hope so. You've seen with Ted Cruz, we've all united. You've seen Donald Trump, the latest polls have him at support. 90% among Republicans are supporting him. So it's more as though these Marco Rubios or others who haven't come right out and endorsed him, they're the odd man out. We're not. 90% of Republicans are united behind Donald Trump.
Do you think his thinking is the wrong set? Should he be reaching out to more people like the Bush family, to the Marco Rubios? Do you think those moderate Republicans who are just wary of him, should he have done more to reach out to them?
No, to be perfectly frank with you, I think the problem with the Bush family is they're bitter that they feel Mr. Trump robbed Jeb, which Jeb was never going to get the nomination. But of course, they feel their son might have had a shot if it hadn't been for Donald Trump. So they're a bit of sour grapes there. And Marco Rubio, I mean, at the end of the day, his policy of amnesty, of big business, chamber of commerce type of priorities isn't really in line with Donald Trump's philosophy of putting Americans first and the American worker.
Some people say they're so close in the polls in Florida right now that reaching out to Marco Rubio, they could actually help each other. He could possibly get some support from Trump in the Panhandle, and then reverse, Trump can get some support from Marco Rubio supporters down in South Florida. When it's such a battleground state, why not reach out to him? Why not try and get those voters and help each other out, especially down ballot?
Listen, I would love to see it. There's a lot of common ground, right? Plus, Marco Rubio could use the help because at the end of the day, it's Donald Trump who won the Florida Republican primary when they were up against each other. So I think it would benefit Marco Rubio greatly. And sure, we would love for him to stand side by side with us. There's a lot of common ground. At the end of the day, we're all conservatives and fighting the same battle here. Never Hillary.
Let me ask you, AJ. Let me ask you about something. Donald Trump tweeted out last week that he was going to invite Jennifer Flowers to the debate. The campaign.
It was a joke.
but here's why I'm curious about why he did that, because he has struggled with women, to bring women into the fold. A lot of women found that to be offensive, the idea that you would bring a woman who may have had some kind of interaction with her husband and put her in front of the stage is not just offensive to women, not just to Hillary Clinton, but to all women. Do you agree with that?
No, on the contrary. I think bringing up Jennifer Flowers reminds people of how anti-women Hillary Clinton has been, because let's not forget, this is somebody that Hillary Clinton went on TV and shamed, when in fact this woman was having some sort of affair with her husband and shouldn't have been shamed. It was a private matter. She shouldn't have been degraded the way she was by Miss Clinton, by Secretary Clinton on TV.
But
so it's a reminder that Hillary's got a problem with women, not Donald Trump.
But it's hard for your candidate to take the high ground on that, because this is a man who's also had his fair share of extramarital interactions with
Oh, it's
women.
not about extramarital. It's about the fact that Hillary Clinton went and said it's a right-wing conspiracy against my husband when it was Monica. She didn't believe Juanita Broderick. She said Jennifer Flowers. I don't want to repeat what she said about her. It's not worthy. So it's Hillary Clinton. It's not about extramarital affairs. Hey, look, Newt Gingrich, those things happen, okay? But it's about how you handle them and how you react to the women who are often victims. Hillary Clinton has a very ugly record with several women in that regard.
But he is struggling with women. That's the bottom line. He's just not doing well with them. So what are you going to do as a campaign to help turn those numbers around? Do you think you still have a chance?
Absolutely. Highlight his history. Let's not forget, this is someone who in the 1980s, his chief lawyer and the chief contractor at Trump Tower in the 80s were both women. Let's look at his daughters. Two tremendous success stories. Tiffany, straight-A student. Ivanka, a business mogul. And his policies, just the maternity leave policy, he just put out the child care policy. He not only has a pro-women record, but a pro-women policy.
And do you think that's going to be enough?
Absolutely. I think it already is. Look at the poll numbers.
Okay.
We're leading.
Always optimistic, AJ, I got to say.
That's
Always
right.
optimistic.
You gotta be.
All right, Rena.
Thank you, guys.
Rena, I was just listening.
He just wants to send me off.
They're giving me direction, and they're like, Rena's reading, and I'm like, okay, Rena's reading. No, not that. Wanted to thank AJ Delgado
Thank you so much for
being
having
here.
me.
Thanks so
Always
much for
great
coming
to be
by.
with you.
Yeah, so great. Thank you.